Hello, hello, good evening, everyone. Am I able to be heard? If someone can, yes, wonderful. Let me begin by saying good evening. My name is Yessennia Arocho, and I ask that you bear with me. And I apologize for not being able to see my face, but I hope you see the lovely view outside my window of the wonderful New York City. Um, So if you would just bear with me, and then we can I just want to hold off possibly for another 3 minutes, and then we can get started by 6:10, just in case we have some latecomers. I know everyone here is excited about the opportunity, and we definitely want to congratulate and welcome you to the nest. So let's just hang tight for 3 minutes, and then we will be able to begin the lovely webinar of financing the nest, but we're excited that you are here with us. So let's hang tight for 3 minutes and we'll get back. Good afternoon again. I am just checking back in. We are waiting for the Associate Director of Admissions to come on board. We were having some technical difficulty as far as technology is what it is. But if you hang tight with us, we're going to have Miss Harris come on and just share some words and some housekeeping rules, and then we'll just get started. While we wait for Miss Harris, why don't we just do a little roll call and just tell me your name and where you're coming from? And we can just begin with, I think if someone says XY, if you can just unmute yourself. Oh, and tell us where you're from, Miss XY. Can you? Well, hello, Miss Jackson from California. Uh, how about just go down the list and why don't you just put in the chat where you're coming from and your name? And we can and I can be able to acknowledge you. Miss Farrell, I see Miss Walker, Gamble. Hey, Danielle from Washington, D.C. All right. PG County is in the house. California. Hello, Miss Gabrielle. Pennsylvania, Miss Walker. Okay. We've got a nice eclectic group. Muldrow from Baltimore. Miss Farrell from Glen Burnie, Maryland. And we have Mr. Matthew Hughes from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And Darrell Washington from Washington, D.C. And we have Gamble from Baltimore. Let's see who else we have on the line. We have John Hooper from Maryland, Latrice Lloyd from New York. Woo woo. Now, let me ask Miss Lloyd, are you from New York City or are you from upstate New York? And you could just put it in the chat. I'm a little biased because I'm from New York City. Zion from DC, and I apologize if I mispronunciate your name. Miss Moore from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Southern Maryland, Mr. Windsor, Yolanda Coates from Baltimore County, Atlanta Scott from Pennsylvania, Kayla Freeman from Virginia, Trinity from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Brianna Smith, Kendra's mom from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Daryl Turner from Washington, D.C. Okay, Long Island, we include you. We include you as part of New York City. Ray Vaughn from Waldorf, Maryland, and Cadence Johnson from Washington, D.C. Awesome. So we are excited to have you guys on with us this evening on Financing the Nest. While we wait for Miss Harris to come on, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Oh, hi, yay! So just for clarification purposes, before the housekeeping rules, I will give an opportunity for some Q&A, some question and answers at the end of this meeting. And if you can just raise your hand and I'll have the opportunity to unmute your mic and then you can ask your question and I'll be more than happy to answer. Well, I turn it over to Ms. Harris.
Thank you. Thank you so much for starting this. You did exactly what I wanted to do first, which was do a roll call to see where everyone is. My name is Janel Harris. I am the Associate Director for First Time Student Admission at the great Coppin State University, also a proud Coppin alum. And I am so thrilled to see all of I can't see your faces, but I can definitely see your names on the screen because as a Coppin alum, it prides me to see more Eagles coming to the nest. I am currently in California, so hey to all of my California folks. This little East Coast, West Coast time is a lot. It's a lot, but we're going to hang in there. So today you're going to learn all about what the financial aid process looks like for you. How do you finance your attendance at Coppin State University? What does indirect cost mean? What is that? Like I see it on my financial aid award. But what does that look like? What is the cost of attendance for Coppin State University, or what the expected cost of attendance will be for 2026, 2027. And we will also give you some information about external funding sources that you can utilize once this session is over with Ms. Arocho. I am so thrilled to have her. She has been such an asset to our financial aid team in helping students navigate this process. And so we're going to hopefully answer most of your questions, but I do ask that in the chat box, if you have a question, you can always put your questions in the chat box. We will definitely try to get to all of them. If it's a question that everyone needs to hear, we will definitely make sure that Ms. Arocho gets that question so that she can answer it for you. However, this is not a session to assess individual student needs for their financial aid package. So if you have a specific question specific to you, so if your question has the word "my" in it, is probably not a question that you should ask on this call. So we ask that if you have any questions that pertain specifically to you and your needs, that you contact the Office of Financial Aid tomorrow, and we'll make sure that you get all of that information so that you can get your questions answered for your specific needs. We will not be talking about housing on this call specific to applying for housing or applying to NSO. This is strictly about how do you read your financial aid package. So if you do not have your parents in the room or your guardian in the room, please tell them to try to join. If they are away and they're not home with you at the moment, you can send them the link so that they can jump on the call. But this is a very, very, very important part of the enrollment process, is knowing how much it's going to cost for you to attend. And don't look at it if you don't have a full financial package that's going to cover every single thing. Look at it as an investment. So we want to say, how much of an investment do you need to make towards your education, and how much of an investment does the government or the university plan to assist with your cost of education? All right. So this is all an investment towards your future. So we hope that you're taking notes. Good leaders take notes. I'm going to repeat that again. Good leaders take notes. So if you do not have a piece of paper and a pen, or your phone, or a laptop, or somewhere you can take notes, you want to run really fast. You want to soar, because you're Eagles now. You want to soar and get something to write with or something to take notes with, because this is going to be very, very important in understanding how to read your financial aid package. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to our Associate Director in Financial Aid, and she's going to help you navigate that process. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Thank you so much. And yes, Coppin is amazing. I just want to confirm that everyone is able to view, or I've shared my screen, because I just want to go over some tidbits and give you some examples. And I just wanted to make sure that you can see that. And if you can kindly, yeah, awesome. That's all I need. That's wonderful. So let me start again by saying good evening and welcome to our So What's Next. Let me begin by saying congratulations on your admittance to Coppin State University. We are so excited that you have decided to consider and ultimately become part of our nest. We are moving and growing and shaking, and I am so happy, just like my colleagues and my peers, that you are going to join us in this process. We are here to assist, guide, and support you through the college entry process, not just application and admittance and commitment, but also financing your education and the road to student success to be productive individuals and adults in our society. My name is Yessennia Arocho, and I am the Associate Director here in the Financial Aid Office of Coppin State University. Just for logistics purposes, our office is located right across from the admissions office in the Miles W. Connor Administration Building. Our team is a team of 6, and it includes our director, myself, the associate director, 3 additional financial aid advisors, and a receptionist. And all of us are really working and committed to your success. So why are we here this evening? I know that many of you have lots and lots of questions, and I genuinely hope that this webinar will provide useful to you. I know Ms. Harris and Ms. McNeil have been adamant and very diligent in trying to bring you information to help this process, to streamline this process. You will have the opportunity to ask questions. You can raise your hands for the general questions. And again, I just caution you not to include personal information and to try to keep your questions as general as you can. We do have additional contact methods at the end that you will see, that if you have some more personal questions, that we can address them individually, either by visiting our office or sending us an email, and my direct information will be available to you as well. So let's talk about Financial Aid 101. And ultimately, what we hope to accomplish today is I want to address what is financial aid, what is the bursar's office, what is the cost of attendance, e-Links, finances, and the financial aid portal, credits and refunds, accepting your financial aid and submitting documents, as well as maintaining your financial aid eligibility. So let's talk about what is financial aid. Ultimately, financial aid is initiated by the completion of the FAFSA application. I like to definitely identify acronyms, because just because I know what the acronym means doesn't mean that you know what the acronym means. So the FAFSA application is the free application for federal student aid, and it is important. It's a government application that gives you access to funds so that you can finance your education. And what's very important about the FAFSA application is that you definitely need to include the schools in which you want to send your application to. So the FAFSA application actually makes certain funds available to you. The first one are grants. Grants is gift aid. It's not free money, it is gift aid. It is a non-repayable form of funding. These funds are typically awarded to individuals for a specific purpose, such as education, public services, and the like. It is gift aid with the intention that there is something that you need to do in order for you to continue to receive these funds. Then you have scholarships, and scholarships is another type of gift aid, where payment is made to support a student's education, and ultimately, for the most part, it is awarded on the basis of academic or athletic achievement or some other type of achievement. Student loans is part of a financial aid award letter, and it is part of financial aid. And understand that federal student loans are funds that are borrowed from the federal government to help pay for post-secondary education. And these loans are the federal direct loans are administered by the United States Department of Education and come in different types, and each with specific eligibility requirements, specific interest rates, as well as repayment plans. So, for example, the PLUS loan. The Parent Plus loan is a federal loan that the legal parents of dependent undergraduate students can take out to help cover the cost of their child's education. The United States Department of Education makes the loans available for parents, and the parents are responsible for repaying these particular loans. These loans can be used to cover educational expenses not covered by other financial aid. And as of last year, there is the reference of the One Big Beautiful Bill, which has made certain adjustments to how parents can borrow Parent Plus loans, but we are not going to address that at this particular time, but we will have that conversation and we will provide the appropriate information. Federal direct loans are loans that are taken out by the student, and it's the student's responsibility. And then you also have private loans with a lender of choice, and these loans are educational related loans provided by financial institutions, for example, like banks or credit unions or other online lenders, rather than the federal government. Unlike federal loans and private loans, private loans are based on the borrower's credit worthiness and may require a cosigner. They can be used to cover the cost of tuition fees and other educational expenses. So let's talk a little bit of the cost of attendance. Some of you may have received an award letter, and I know it's a lot of information, it's a lot of words, it's a lot of numbers, and most times people get sticker shocked over the fact that they see this huge 20,000 plus number on there, and they think automatically, oh my gosh, is that what I have to pay? No, not entirely. The cost of attendance is known as the student budget. So what it is it is an estimated total cost for a student attending a college or a university for a specific period, such as the traditional academic year of 9 months. It is a key factor in determining a student's financial need and eligibility for financial aid. So understand that when we talk about a student budget or the cost of attendance, within that cost of attendance, you have direct costs as well as indirect costs. And again, I understand that there is, I'm talking and there are a lot of words, but to break it down, that Certain things are, the bottom line, what do I have to pay? The bottom line that you have to pay automatically are your tuition and fees. If you choose to live on campus, then a direct fee is also going to be your room and board. But ultimately, when you get a bill, what am I going to be required to pay? You have your budget, but then you have your total charges. So your total charges, for the most part, are what we consider direct costs, which is what you will see in a bill. Tuition and fees is a direct cost. In the event that you actually live on campus, room and board, it is a direct cost. Coppin State University has implemented a more cost-effective book offer, which we call as Eagle First Day, where we were able to negotiate a reduction in books and supplies for our students, depending upon their classes. So that has become somewhat a direct charge, but you have the option to opt out of it. So those are the things that you will see on your actual bill. However, we have to take into account that you as a student will still need transportation to go back and forth. You still have personal expenses. In some instances, you may choose to live with parent or you live off campus. Although that's not a direct charge that you are responsible to pay directly to the university, it is still something that we have to take into account because it's a requirement just for you to live, and it's part of your educational experience. So award letters are initially, just to recap, you have completed the FAFSA, we received your FAFSA, we reviewed your FAFSA. So once all those key components are done, then we can determine your eligibility and then provide you with an award letter. What is the award letter? The award letter is able to identify what you're eligible to receive based upon the completion of the FAFSA application. And the FAFSA application initiates your eligibility, not just for gift aid, which is also known as grants, scholarships, if you have been awarded a scholarship. And understand, if you have a third party, if you received a scholarship from an outside organization, you can share that information with us, and we can appropriately apply it and give the update to the Office of the Bursar so that we can take that into account with your award letter. Then award letters are sent to students electronically using the email that is listed on the application. So what we have seen over the past year or so, many of our students don't have enough storage. If anyone is like my daughter, who just enjoys to see 5,000 emails unread in her inbox, but then she runs out of storage, if that is your situation, you will never receive the award letter that we sent directly to the email that you listed on your actual application. Now, if you have committed to Coppin, which I hope everyone on this call has, if you committed to Coppin, then you would have received your Eagle Links credentials, which will allow you to log into our financial aid portal, and then you will have direct access to view your actual award letter. If there's anything pending or missing that we will need for you to submit to our office. But just because you didn't commit doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have access to your award letter. And I've just posted a sample award letter. So again, the way you will be able to access your award letter is by going on to the Eagle Links student portal. And then under finances, you will identify the financial aid portals link, which is on the left-hand side beneath a few other items, and it says financial aid portal. You click on that and it'll prompt you to actually go back in and sign in again, which will allow you access to the actual portal. And I've also added on on the screen that you can actually see a sample award letter that is sent to students to their email that was listed on the actual application. So let's talk about accepting your aid or just getting some clarification and understanding once you log into the portal. So once you log into your financial aid, uh, Eagle Links financial aid portal, you're going to see the home tab is going to identify the home documents if we're missing certain things, notifications of what is pending, which pretty much will prompt you to submit certain items. The financial tab will list your actual awards, and as well as a portion of your cost of attendance. And then the messages is how we actually communicate. Then it's going to prompt you on your homepage, you'll see required financial aid actions. It'll identify to become financial aid eligible. If we are missing certain items, for example, if we're missing a passport or we're missing, for example, proof of citizenship, if we're missing income documentation, that is where you will actually see that we are requesting certain things from you. The part number 2, where it says take action on loans, it's actually where you actually go in and begin the loan acceptance process. And then there are certain requirements that are needed for your loans to disperse. And that part is to receive your funds, which is, you have to complete the direct loan entrance counseling, and understand that the entrance counseling explains your rights and responsibilities in taking out a federal student loan. Now, we encourage students to go ahead and complete the counseling session just to make you more informed and give you the rights and responsibilities, if you so choose, to actually accept the loan. But again, education is investment, and in the event that you need to offset certain expenses, the direct subsidized or unsubsidized loan is an option. And then the master promissory note, also known as the direct subsidized or unsubsidized MPN, is the actual loan contract that's required in order for any loans to actually disperse. As I mentioned, with documents, if there's anything that our office requires for you to fulfill or to complete or to submit, will be listed here for review so that we can ensure that your aid actually disperses. At certain times, certain students are flagged by the Department of Education and are required to submit additional documents in order for their aid to be released. And then under the messages tab will be how we communicate with you in the event that we want to send you a revised award letter, or there is another notification that will be reflected. It will be under your messages tab in your Eagle Links financial aid portal. Under the financial information, when you have your credentials and you're able to this is always something that you can review and identify. It'll reflect the cost of your education per semester, because we charge students per semester. However, some of the financial aid reflected is going to identify as per academic year, which will be inclusive of the fall and the spring, although we only charge you per semester. So as you see here, and this is just an example, you will see that you have the federal Pell Grant in accordance with the completion of the FAFSA application. And again, grant equates to gift aid. You have the Merit Blue scholarship that has been awarded by the Office of Admissions. And then you have direct loans, which have been offered. Most grants and scholarships do not require you to go in and accept the fund because it is gift aid. However, the direct loans are offered to you, and it is the student's responsibility to go in and accept. The notifications will reflect, as I mentioned prior, although you go in and say, for example, you choose to accept the loans, in order for those loans to actually disperse and hit your account, you will be required to complete the entrance counseling to ensure that you've been informed and you have been explained your rights and your responsibilities in taking out a federal student loan. And then the master promissory note is the actual contract that says, you know what, I am borrowing these funds and I am committing to paying these funds back to the Department of Education. How do you actually accept your loans? And again, I'm just going over this, and we'll go over this several times just because We want to make sure that you are informed and give you little snippets and give you some understanding of how this is actually, how you actually do this, and to familiarize yourself with the actual portal. So as I mentioned, loans do require acceptance, but gift aid does not require acceptance. So the way you begin the actual loan acceptance is you go onto your accept funds page, and you see at the bottom, it'll identify start the loan acceptance. There it would identify, give you the option of what you actually been offered. And then it gives you three different options. It gives you a recommendation that will, of an amount that solely covers the outstanding charges that are reflected in your fall bill. Then you have another option of entering a manual amount, which is usually the maximum. And understand that when you accept your loan, it's going to be awarded over the award year or the academic year, which is fall and spring. And then you have the option to decline your loan offer, which is always subject to change. And even if you accept it and you make a decision not to totally accept the total amount, then you're able to do that as well. So once you begin the loan, you review your award acceptance, it's going to prompt you and say, this is what I want to accept. And then you just continue with the various prompts so that until completion. And then you actually have to enter in your student ID and your last name to ensure that you understand that you are accepting these loans and that you are required to pay these loans back. So let's talk a little bit about what it means to maintain your eligibility. At the beginning, I had mentioned that the FAFSA initiates the financial aid process and determining your financial aid eligibility. As I mentioned, I refer to grants as gift aid. A gift is something that is given to you with the anticipation of a celebration or something that you have accomplished. So financial aid is not free money, it is gift aid. So there is something that is expected in return. We are expected to give you a solid and education so that you can be a productive member of society and to definitely flourish and receive student success. Hence, with that being said, you enrolling in our university, there are certain requirements that are needed for you to fulfill so that you can continue to receive financial aid. For example, it's important that you maintain a GPA of at least a 2.0. It's important that you complete at least 67% of the attempted credits that you earn at least 67% of the credits that you have attempted, and that you complete your program within a certain time. And again, these are just little snippets for us to share with you, so then that way we can ensure your student success while you're here a student at Coppin and at the Nest. I would like to say thank you. I mean, again, these are little snippets of information so that you can actually understand how to finance your education. I would like to open this up for questions. And if you raise your hand, then I will be able to unmute your mic and you can ask your question directly.
Hey, Ms. Arocho?
Yes.
All right, so before anybody asks any questions, I just want to reiterate, if it's a question that is specific to you, can you please contact the Office of Financial Aid tomorrow? Or if you have any questions that maybe admissions can help with in regards to like scholarships or anything like that, you can contact admissions. But if it's something that has to do with your award letter being awarded or anything like that, we did send out some emails to students. And so those emails kind of told you where your status was. So please read that email thoroughly. We had our first conversation on Tuesday about reading your emails thoroughly. There are a lot of students contacting admissions, and in the email that you received, it gives you specific directions on who to contact to update the status or get an update on the status of your financial aid. So please refer back to those emails before you contact admissions, okay? Make sure you're contacting the right person. And then we have been answering some questions in the chat box already. But if you have any questions, you can feel free to put them in the chat box and we can definitely read them out aloud to Ms. Arocho so that she can answer those questions. But if your question has not been answered so far, then please put your question in the chat box and then we can read them to Ms. Arocho to get an answer. But please do not ask about your specific question. Your specific status. This is not a platform in which we can answer your specific question. All right. So we do have a question. What happens if we accept our financial aid and the student is awarded the honors program scholarships? Will the financial aid be adjusted to give living expense cash to the student? And this has been reiterated before. So essentially, if I receive any external or additional institutional aid, will my financial aid be adjusted to give, basically, can I get a refund check, or does it reduce the cost of reduce the amount of scholarships or grants or loans that I receive from financial aid?
So as I mentioned previously, which is it's a lot of numbers and it's a lot of words when you receive the award letter, but that is why we create a cost of attendance, which is also equated as the student budget. And within that budget, there are direct costs and indirect costs. So if you were to receive honors, merit awards, or external scholarships, your financial aid, as per federal government guidelines, can never exceed your cost of attendance. So that is why when you see your award letter and you see 27,000, 23,000, not to get sticker shock, because that's not what you necessarily are going to pay. However, that is the maximum amount of financial aid from all resources that you are eligible to receive. So in the event that you receive an honors college and you receive the Pell Grant and so forth, we have to take into account all those sources and then make the necessary adjustments as long as you don't exceed the cost of attendance. With the big beautiful bill, there are some adjustments that we have been told that we have to adhere to, that is still in the works until we actually get appropriate guidance. Because if students get other aid or other aid from other sources, then we have to do a different calculation than we have been doing in the past. So if you to summarize what I just said, ultimately, if you get other resources or other awards and other scholarships, your awards will be reviewed and evaluated to stay within your cost of attendance.
And so, Ms. Arocho, what is adjusted first? Is it loans or is it other free aid or gift aid, I should say, other gift aid that is reduced to meet that cost of attendance? Which one is typically reduced first?
The way we do with tiers, and again with the recent big beautiful bill and how we are supposed to award Pell and so forth, loans will be the first thing that gets adjusted. But the gift aid is always applied first.
All right, students. So if that did not make sense to you, I'm just going to reiterate. If you have any external scholarships or internal scholarships, your loans will be adjusted first to reduce the amount of loan money that you would have to take out. But your gift aid, so any scholarships or grants that you receive, that will be applied first. And we're trying to meet your cost of attendance, meaning we're trying to get your balance to zero. Okay, so you're not going to get any $25,000 refund checks. I know you probably have heard of that in the past, but with new legislation, that is just not necessarily the case. And so we are trying to get students to have a zero balance. But if you have a scholarship and they're wanting to award the scholarship directly to you, then they have the free will to do that. However, some organizations are asking that whatever is not used be refunded back to that organization. So if you have an organization that is sending the money to the institution, they may ask us to meet that need, and if there's any additional funding left over, to send it back to the organization. So you may want to, if it's an external scholarship, you may want to contact them to find out the specifics of how their scholarships work for their organization. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Mr. Arocho, did I
Yes.
accurately
Oh,
add that?
yes. And again, a lot of third-party scholarships, they were awarded, and those are applied first. And any excess outside of your charges, as I mentioned, to go back to the cost of attendance, to try to make it as plain as I can be, your direct charges, which is will result in a bill, is for the most part inclusive of tuition and fees, room and board if you choose to live on campus. So when we apply certain awards, your scholarships will be applied first, and then some of the other funds, and anything in excess will be refunded to the student as long as it does not exceed the cost of attendance. And the cost of attendance, which is the student's budget, is not just your bill, but also those other components that are still required so that you can be a successful student.
Thank you so much. I did have a question earlier that I wanted to ask. Let me see if I can find it. I'm so sorry. If a student does not plan to accept any loans, do they still need to complete the master promissory note or the entrance counseling?
No,
But
no,
it
they do
is,
not.
but in their
If the,
e-links, they will see it, but that doesn't mean that
yes,
they need to complete it. It's
correct.
there for them to have access to it if they plan on taking the loans. But if they do not have to complete that.
That is correct. It'll just be a nuisance and you'll just see it, but you're not obligated um, you at no point are you obligated to accept the loans, and at no point are you obligated to complete the entrance counseling or the master promissory note if you decline the loans.
All right. So if a student has documentation that they needed to update, I'm sorry, that they needed to add to the portal, how long does it take to update in the system once that information is received?
So that varies. In our office, we'll try, depending upon what the information is, we try to complete those documents within 3 to 5 business days. But again, it's really contingent and depends upon what documents are being uploaded. For example, if a student chooses to upload a housing declaration, the FAFSA application for 25-26 and 26-27 does not give the student the option to provide their housing plans or their housing intention. So there's no way for us to know. And we make an assumption in our office. We make an assumption that if you are dependent, that you are going to be with parent, unless you are part of our amazing Expand Eagle Nation program where you live out of state. You live in a state that has less than two HBCUs, then you get the opportunity to attend Coppin State and be awarded in-state tuition. In that case, you will be given in-state tuition, but you will be considered off campus. Um, so in that instance, we will require the student to complete a housing declaration. A housing declaration is for financial aid purposes only. It is not a housing contract and is not to be submitted to to our housing department. But the housing declaration allows us to be able to confirm what your housing intention is so that once again, we can be able to determine a more accurate cost of attendance, which is your student budget. So that housing declaration can take easy 3 days. However, say for example, you were selected for a process called verification, which requires additional documents. That may require a longer processing time for review. And in addition, depending upon the time frame in which you submit our documents, if we in peak season, it is really difficult to be able to maintain those time constraints versus when it's our low time, and we have more availability to be able to review the documents that have been received.
Thank you. I have a question from Naray. I think that's how you pronounce your name. I think you kind of went over this, but I guess we need to be very, very specific about this particular question. If I'm an out-of-state student, but will receive the in-state tuition waiver, so the Expand Eagle Nation waiver,
Mhm.
would it say out of state on my financial aid package, even though I am going to get the in-state incentive?
So most recently, we had sent out the start or initially sent out our award letters, and we apologized because we had identified a a snafu on the award letter where students who, although they were part of our Expand Eagle Nation program, they received award letters reflecting that they were going with out-of-state tuition. We are in the process of correcting that, and we apologize for that little snafu. But for those students who are part of our Expand Eagle Nation, you will receive an updated award letter identifying that you have in-state tuition and not out-of-state tuition. So if you are part of the Expand Eagle Nation, your award letter should reflect in-state tuition.
Thank you so much for that. A student asked about direct and indirect costs. What would be covered in a scholarship that covers tuition and all direct costs of attendance?
So if a student receives a scholarship that specifically identifies that they will cover all direct costs, then that scholarship will include the tuition and fees as well as room and board and the Expand Eagle Nation book charge unless they opt out of it.
I'm
But that
glad you
does
brought
not
that up.
exclude them from any other sources of aid. For example, if they're going to receive that outside scholarship that covers direct charges, and then they've also received the gold merit scholarship, you still will be able, it really depends upon what the criteria is for that particular scholarship. In some instances, a scholarship like that will require us to complete a form identifying what they're receiving, and any gift aid or any merit scholarships, and then they will disperse their funds accordingly, and we will make those available on their award letter. That is usually how it's done. However, it really depends upon the organization.
Thank you. But you mentioned something that I actually was going to ask. We have a new program on campus where the books will be included as a part of the cost of attendance for students. So students don't necessarily have to go out and find their own books or find additional funding to receive their books. So can you share with us how financial aid will impact that? And can a student opt out of that new program, or do they have to stay opted into the book program?
As students are not obligated to stay within that program. What Coppin State has done with Barnes and Nobles is they have negotiated a reasonable price for students so that they can obtain their books at a reasonable price. Anyone who has conversed or knows any other college students, books can be very expensive. So what Coppin has done is that we've negotiated a price where it's a much more reasonable amount. For example, a student who is full-time for 12 credits, which is approximately 4 classes, you can pretty much project or estimate that each class will require approximately $100 to $200 per class for books. With the Expand Eagle Nation, we have negotiated that depending upon what classes they're taking, the charge will be approximately anywhere from $300 to say $500 for all books, which is a major discount. So we've negotiated a discounted price for books for our students to be more cost effective. But the students are not obligated to participate in that program, and they do have the option to opt out, and that is done at the beginning, and you'll be notified of the actual deadlines of when to opt out. Another charge that I encourage students to consider is that at Coppin State, for undergraduate full-time students, all students are required to have health insurance. So we automatically apply a health insurance charge, and students are given the opportunity to waive the fee if they have their own insurance, but it's the student's responsibility to provide the appropriate documentation so that that fee can actually be waived. So Expand Eagle Nation is not obligatory, and neither is the health insurance that we offer to our students.
Thank you. You just used the SAT word. What does obligatory mean? I mean, I know what it means, but can you share what you
Oh,
mean by obligatory?
you're not obligated. You don't have to participate. You don't have to have you don't have to have the Expand Eagle Nation or accept it or say yes to it, and you don't have to accept the health insurance that we offer or make available to our students. So if you choose not to take advantage of that offer or not to use it, then you can waive it, which means that you just have to say, no, I don't want it, and provide the appropriate documentation so that you can actually not get charged for it.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to make sure that all students understood what you meant by that. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to just make this announcement. I see a couple of students asking about their financial aid. If they have not received their financial aid package, or it's just the financial aid package, right? So they have not received their financial aid package yet. I would implore you, if you're a parent, to sit down with your student and go through their email, because there was an email
Yeah.
sent out to all students to let them know what their status is and to follow up if there is any additional information needed by our offices in order to help process that. If it says that we have received your application and we're working on it, that's exactly what's going on. We are working on getting that out to you as soon as possible. So please continue to check and monitor your email. But parents, please also sit down with your students, because a lot of students, we're sending them information and we can see that they have read it, because we can see when you open an email what time, what date, and where, what location, what city and state you were in. But sometimes they need help understanding what is in the email or where to go to get the assistance that they need. So please sit down with them and go through the email with them so that they can understand what they need to do next.
So I do want to also mention that if you know, not just to ensure that you have storage in your email, but I also want to encourage a few things to make sure that your FAFSA has. Number one, you log into your FAFSA and make sure that your social security number and your date of birth and the name listed is exactly as what's listed on your social security card. That's very important. And if you're looking for an award letter from Coppin State University, it's also important that you include our school code, which is 002068, which authorizes the Department of Education to send your FAFSA application to us so that we can determine your eligibility. Then if you see that all of that information is correct, but you see and have confirmed with the Department of Education that you completed your FAFSA, then what I would recommend that you do, you have to contact our office to ensure that the information we have in our system is correct, meaning your social security and your date of birth is correct. Because the way we're able to connect you with your FAFSA application is by way of your social security and your date of birth and your name.
And that part is really important, because many times we see students apply to the university, they may add their social security number, but it is off by one number, and that can throw off your whole financial aid package connection. So definitely make sure to contact the Office of Financial Aid if you have any questions, or if it tells you in the email that we sent you to contact them, please contact them, because they are going to be the ones that can assist you with understanding what may need to be done. It literally may be, we may need to update your social security number and that's it. But we need to talk to you in order for that to happen. So please contact them tomorrow. If
And
you receive, Mhm.
I also want to ask that you give us some grace if you reached out to our financial aid at coppin.edu inbox. Because we just sent out award letters, we have been receiving quite a lot of emails. So we will respond to you if but just our normal 48 to 72 hours really is becoming a little longer than that, just because our inbox has become so full,
Volume has picked up.
which is a good problem.
So yes, please grant some grace. Please know that everyone at Coppin is diligently working to ensure that we get your questions answered, that the next steps, the next processes, financial aid, all of the things, so that you are set before you even graduate. We want you to know everything so you can make a decision before the May 1st deadline for some of you, and have a well, what's the word I'm looking for? Well-informed decision-making process. All right. If a student has received an institutional scholarship, I do want to implore that you review the scholarship terms, because each scholarship is different. And so we don't want to make a blanket statement about what a particular scholarship covers. If you have been awarded a scholarship, in the letter, it will break down what that scholarship will cover. So please make sure to read through your scholarship email, just so you understand what that scholarship will cover. And then if you have any specific questions about that scholarship, please reach out to the office that awarded you that scholarship, because they can provide additional feedback on that. Miss Viviana Craig asked if you could reshare your slide on how to get to your package and accept your awards offers.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Can you share your screen again on how to get to your awards and accept them?
Oh, sure. Mm, oh, sorry. How to. So the way you are able to review your awards, you will actually go into your Eagle Links student portal. And
Are you sharing it on your screen right
hold
now?
on once. I have to hold on one second. Give me 1 second. I will share it again. Once you receive your credentials, you will be given the opportunity. You log into your Eagle Links, and then you will be prompted. Once you go in, you have to go under the Finances tab, and under the Financials tab, all the way to the left, you'll see another tab link where it says Financial Aid Portal. And from the Financial Aid Portal, it'll prompt you to it will prompt you to sign in again using your credentials, which will give you the opportunity to go ahead and look at your Eagle Links. Okay. We were having some technical difficulties. My apologies.
And so with that being said, that means that if you have not set up your Eagle Links account, you definitely need to set that up ASAP. We had a workshop, or sorry, not workshop, but a webinar on that on Tuesday. We will be sending out these videos to you via the portal, and we'll place them online for you as well, so that you can revisit them if you need to. But I definitely want to make sure that students are aware that, and parents, because parents, you need to know this as well. All students who have deposited have received their credentials, and they need to set up their Eagle Links account, which is now their official student account, so that they can log into the different systems that will help them navigate this enrollment next steps process. So that may include financial aid. It will for sure include housing. So students definitely need to need to set that up as soon as possible.
I also just wanted to mention, as you mentioned, having a conversation with parents. I also wanted to highlight that students can give parents access by way of their Eagle Links. financial aid portal where they'll be able to upload documents as well as be able to view what's pending and what's missing in the students' and portal. Because once the student becomes a student at Coppin State, we are, unless the student authorizes us to be able to disclose anything as it pertains to their financial aid, their academics, and so forth, the student has to authorize us to speak with someone other than them. Even if they're 17, even if you're paying the bill. So I just want to highlight that. I'm going to see if I can, I want to try, I'm going to try and share what the student portal is going to look like.
And while you're pulling that up, I just want to share, parents, you cannot contact the institution and ask for specific information about the student's account without their permission, just like as Ms. Arocho just said. However, the student can complete what's called a FERPA disclosure form. If they do not complete this form and submit it back, then we cannot talk to you unless they are on the phone. Now, if the student is on the phone, we can do that. So if you've called our institution and we've told you that we needed the student's permission to talk to you, that is because that is a federal law. So students can fill out this form. They can also let us know when they want to take you off. So say if this week they want you on and next week they notify us and tell us that they don't want you to contact us anymore, we have to go by what the student asks for. I'm going to share the form in the chat box. So the link is there now. Students can fill it out, not parents. Parents cannot fill out this form. The information has to match the signature by the student that we have on file in order for this form to be applied. So parents, do not try to complete this form for your student. The student has to fill it out. It is illegal if you fill it out for the student. And you cannot make them. It has to be a willing submission. Okay.
And
So just wanted to put that
they
out
have
there.
to submit it in person or they have to upload it themselves. Any other questions?
I'm sorry, were you sharing your were you going to share the portal or you
Yeah,
can't?
it's unfortunate. Yeah, I was trying to get, it's being temperamental when I try to. Uh,
Mari, I see that you
I
raised your
wanted to
hand.
provide a sample of the student portal so you can see what it actually looks like, but I'm having difficulty. It's not allowing me to log in. So
Okay.
I can take the next question, and if it does come up, I will be able to share it.
Okay, thank you. Amari, I see that you have your hand raised. Can you please put your question in the chat box? Are there any questions or do you feel like we covered everything that we needed to cover about this portion of the financial aid before I share some additional information with you all? I'm gonna just give it a second to make sure that you guys don't have any questions before I move on. All right, so I don't see any. Oh, okay. Thank you, Yolanda, for responding. I wanted to share some external sources, and I
Oh,
do have.
time out. I'm
You
sorry.
found it? You got it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna pause right there, and then I'm gonna come back
Oh,
after Mr. Rocho shows you the screen.
yeah, I just want to give you an opportunity to see what it looks like. For security purposes, I won't share an actual student information. Um, but I'm going to show you pretty much and try to navigate that with you. So here, once you log into your Eagle Links and then you go into the financial aid portal, under the financials tab in your Eagle Links, this is what it's actually going to look like. This is the financial aid portal where it gives you the opportunity to see what the required financial aid actions. It'll identify some key messages that we want to encourage you to be familiar with. It'll say become financial aid eligible. So if you have credentials and we didn't receive your FAFSA application, it'll tell you complete the 2627 FAFSA. Take action on loans. We made you a loan offer, but you haven't accepted or made a decision. And understand you declining your loans is a decision. And then the next steps for you to receive your funds, because in order for your loans to disperse onto your account, you will be required to complete the master promissory note and the entrance interview. And this is all found on the home page. Then if we have outstanding documents that are required to be submitted, you will see it here. And as you see under the documents page, it identifies what's requested or received, and then if you need to upload a non-requested document. In some instances, if a student needs to provide an additional student statement, that would be considered a non-requested document. Then here you'll be notified of any necessary actions that are required for you to take. The financials tab will identify your cost of attendance, your charges, and the aid that's been offered to you. And then the messages is where we will communicate by sending you an award letter and the like. So I just wanted to give you an idea of what that actually looks like. So I hand it over back to Janel. Miss Harris, my apologies, Miss Harris.
It's okay. No, thank you for that. If a student, I do have a question now that you said that. If a student decides to decline their loans initially, but realize that they may need them later on, can they get them back?
Yes, they can. At any point in time, they will be, the option will be available to make an adjustment. So in the event that you initially decline them and then say, you know what, I need my loans, or I'm choosing to accept my loans to help offset some of the expenses, they can go ahead and actually go back in and make an additional step to the loan acceptance.
And I believe you spoke to this a little bit earlier, but I do want to preface before a student takes out a loan, we hear a lot that students want to decline loans. They only want free money. They only want scholarships. But I do want to share with students that may be a bit unrealistic.
Hmm?
Going to college is an investment. In the same way that you would go and take out a loan to purchase a new car, or if your parents had to take out a loan to buy a house, it's the same thing. Now, you may not want to take out all of the loan money. There are ways that you can reduce some of the loans that you receive. So say we're offering you $10,000, but you only need $1,000. Maybe you can that's when you should contact the Office of Financial Aid and just ask how you can reduce a loan rather than not take out any loans. You do have to understand that education is also an investment, just like any other purchase that you would make in your life is a purchase, right? And so loans give you a little bit more leverage in how much funding you will have accessible to you to be able to pay for your student loans. Now, there's a lot of conversations on the news and all sharing how much student loan debts and all these things that people have acquired over the years, but it was more so because they were uneducated about how much loan money they should take out or even how to navigate that loan process. So before you take out any loans or decline any loans, I would definitely have a conversation with your financial aid counselor to kind of get a better understanding and educate yourself on what that looks like for you in your particular situation. Because a lot of high school counselors are even telling students don't take out loans, but the high school counselor is not paying for your education. Unless they're going to write a check for you to go to school, you have to be open-minded to all of the options that are available to you. And again, I'm not asking you to take out a $25,000 loan. That's not what I'm saying. But we have had students that may need just $1,000 and they can't afford to pay it out of pocket. So the $1,000 loan may have helped them and they may not need to take out a full $25,000. So it is very important that you educate yourself and make yourself aware of all of your options. And that may mean that you need to contact your financial aid counselor to discuss what those options may look like. So, Ms. Arocho,
Yes. So I
you
also
share.
want to I also want to just highlight that I've been doing this. I've been in the financial aid higher education industry for over 25 years. I've worked for 6 other universities. And what I have identified over the years is that Coppin State has one of the most affordable tuition rates that can make an education possible, and that you can actually receive a quality education. And if with the the right amount of aid, it's a great investment in yourself. And of course, in all, when you look at your financial aid award letter, it gives you the opportunity to see do the checks and balances and identify the charges and be able to identify what is it going to cost you. But I really do want to highlight that the that Coppin is very affordable, and that there are a lot of funds that we make available, as well as additional funds, whether they third party scholarships, as well as federal and state funds that can make this education real and a solid possibility. So oftentimes when students come and say, oh, well, I don't want to take out loans, or I've received more aid, please understand that it's not just about, oh, well, New York University offered me $20,000 in scholarships, but also New York University has a $60,000 cost of attendance or student budget, and their tuition and fees solely is about $18,000 a semester, if not more. So when you do an evaluation and you begin your decision process, you have to look at it in the larger spectrum of that, okay, well, this is my gift aid, these are my charges, this is my gift aid, and this is my bottom line. I just wanted to make mention of that.
No, that's very, very important. And I know that I've had students where they may have gotten a scholarship or some additional financial aid from one school, and it just did not meet the need of the student, but that because it was more than what Coppin may have offered in their award package, the student thought that it would cost them less to go to school there, and it was the reverse. So even if you have a $20,000, say you had a $20,000 tuition and fee bill plus room and board from Coppin State University, and you only received $18,000 in aid, that means your investment towards your education is expected to be $2,000. But say if you had a school that was $80,000, but they gave you $40,000, which is a bigger package than Coppin, you still end up paying, or your expected investment would be $40,000. So you really need to assess that. And students, please don't make these decisions on your own. We've had so many students tell the parent where they're going to go. Then when the parents get to the school, they find out that they may not be able to afford that school. So parents, please sit down with your students and have these realistic conversations about the affordability factor of attending certain schools and what that financial aid package looks like. So thank you for that. Can you please share your slide? I know I keep telling you to change your presentation, but do you mind sharing your slide that shows the list of financial aid counselors? And I do have a
Oh,
student that
yes.
asks, does each student have their own financial aid counselor that they are assigned, or are they able to see or speak with any financial aid counselor?
So we believe in open door and trying to be, to really be a sense of support and guidance. And of course, students have their preference of who they want to see. We don't specify a counselor per student. So anytime a student comes into the financial aid office, they have the opportunity and the availability to see any one of us. But they can make a request, and we try to honor that request if they want to see someone specific. Let me show.
So much.
Yes.
And she's
But
going to share
we try
those
to encourage
counselors.
that we don't have burnout. And hold on. But we do try to make it available to them. I am getting to that slide. Hmm. But we do try to identify and be very proactive in how we actually do or assign the work that's required so that students get the most and the best financial aid customer service experience. So this is a slide. So again, our office consists of 6 individuals. Our regular office hours are Monday through Thursday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. Our office does close at 5 p.m. So we try as a courtesy to ensure that everyone is able to get out. But if we need to make a specialized appointment or make ourselves available, we are adjustable. Fridays, our offices are from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Our direct financial aid office line is listed above, as well as our financial aid email. And our team members consist of Ms. Tricia Smith, Ms. Tia Gosnell, Mr. Jordan Ballard, Ms. C. O'Shea Dickens, myself, Yessennia Arocho, and Ms. Marjorie Arrington, who is the Director of Financial Aid.
Thank you. And can I ask one quick question? Because I know that having 3 dedicated financial aid advisors, is there a particular time when the best time to contact the office? For instance, is it a high volume around lunchtime, around the 12 to 2 hour, or is it best to contact first thing in the morning? Is there a preferred time in which students and parents can contact the office?
Anytime is a preferred time, but I think the most success of being able to get someone would be in the early morning hours, because obviously as the day progresses, we have different meetings, we have students that come in, and we will always take the students that are in office as a priority. Not that we don't accept we won't answer the phones and so forth, but oftentimes it's very difficult to juggle managing the students that come into our office versus those that are on the phone.
Thank you. All right, so I want to share some external sites for you to consider, some external scholarships that are available. And the first is going to be, and please check your chat box. You can actually write them down as I am saying them, but we have our fabulous admissions counselor, senior admissions counselor here to help me in the chat box. So he's going to put those in the chat box for me. But the first is going to be Thurgood Marshall College Fund. That can be found at www.tmcf.org. And these scholarships work with any institution that is a member institution of Thurgood Marshall, and Coppin State University is a member institution. So he has just shared the link for you guys. So please check these scholarships out. We do get contacted by this organization and the next one that I'm going to share, which is United Negro College Fund. And what I've heard several times is that there are scholarships available to students that they are not applying for, because sometimes students don't want to do essays, but you have to challenge yourself. If you want the money is out there. There are millions of dollars in scholarship funds that go unused every year just because students were afraid. The only thing that they can tell you is no, and you're in the exact same position that you were when you started. But what if they tell you yes? Okay, so the next scholarship organization is the United Negro College Fund. He just added that link in the chat as well. And people have heard about United Negro College Fund for many, many years. It's been around for decades. You do not need to be African American to apply for these scholarships. They can be used at a multitude of institutions, but of course, we want you to use them at Coppin State University. So those that are available, please apply. And the last is going to be Sally.com. This is a general scholarship website that gives you a plethora of different options to choose from. It's not HBCU specific, but there are lots of scholarships there that can help you fund your education. I will tell students to, I'm sorry, hold on for 1 second. Okay, so my counselor just told me that Sally actually has 30 scholarships, that the deadline for them is March 31st, and there's no essay needed. So go get that money, y'all. I would definitely tell you to also apply for different scholarship amounts. So even if it's $1,000, if it's $5,000, apply for different scholarship amounts. They do stack up, and it can help you get to your goal a lot faster. A lot of times students apply for $25,000 scholarships, and I'm not telling you not to, but usually an organization may be giving out one or two of those, whereas an organization that may give out $5,000 may give out 10 scholarships. So your chances of getting that scholarship may be a little greater. So make sure to apply to different scholarships. Some scholarships will apply to your books. Some will apply to housing only. Some will apply to your meals. So just look for different types of scholarships. Diversify your scholarship bank. So please make sure to look at those. And then for parents, please contact your employers. A lot of times I tell parents this and they say, I didn't even know that my employer had a scholarship for their employed students. So please contact your employers to see if there are scholarship dollars that are available to employees and dependents. Because there are lots of organizations that give money to help their employees to fund their students' education. Students, if you work at Chick-fil-A or a clothing store, ask them as well. There are lots of scholarships at employers like Chick-fil-A, like McDonald's, where students can get scholarship dollars because they are an employee. And then look at your local area. This takes nothing but a Google search. I've had some students ask for help with finding scholarships, and all I did was a Google search. So say if you're from Jacksonville, Florida, look for scholarships in your particular county where students can utilize those funds outside of the state of Florida. And there have been so many opportunities that opened up to students that they just were not aware of. And all it took was a simple scholarship search on Google for their specific area. So please do not leave this money on the table, guys, because there is money to be had. Okay, so get the bag now. And start doing those applications as soon as possible. Apply often, apply to many. All right. And the council just put some more in. So you have Coca-Cola, Burger King, Taco Bell, Dell Scholars, Dr. Pepper, Walmart, Pearson. These are some that we have often recommended our students to apply for. Panda Express is another. So definitely make sure to apply to those scholarships. All right. I hope that this was informative. I hope that you go out here and get this money that's available to you guys, because funding your education does not have to be hard, but it will take hard work. Okay. It will take some effort, I should say, not hard work, effort on your part to get the money. So go ahead and get this money because it's out there for you. You do not have to rely on loans if you get enough scholarship dollars. All right. So go ahead and get this money, and let's disrupt this society's belief that you guys cannot go to college, or how I'm not going to get real political, but how they're trying to shun people from going to school. Okay, let's disrupt that narrative and get this money and go ahead and get our higher education. All right. I hope that you guys enjoyed this session. If you have, give us a thumbs up. I'm going to do this like YouTube because I know you guys watch YouTube. In the chat, if you are committed to coming to Coppin, if you are ready to do your accept your financial aid, can I get an A Coppin in the chat? We're going to do this like we did on Tuesday. Put an A Coppin in the chat if this was helpful. If you're coming to Coppin, I see the A Coppins in the chat. I also want to make an announcement that our next episode of Netflix and Chill will happen on March the 31st. So that is next Tuesday. And we are going to be talking about how to apply for housing. So this is something that you don't want to miss, because the housing application opens up on when? Can you put it in the chat for me? Because I see some returners. You are subscribers of the Netflix and Chill. And so what day can you start applying for housing? Yes, April the 1st. So we will be hosting a webinar on how to apply for housing the day before. Okay. And the first thing that you need to do is set up your EagleLinks account if you have not done so, because that is going to be a necessary step in accepting your financial aid and applying for housing. Okay. So make sure you guys do that. I look forward to seeing you guys on Tuesday, and I hope that you enjoy these series, and we will be adding more. So we will also be posting these so that you can review them later at a later date. If you have questions about your financial aid, please contact financial aid. Please give them some grace. There are thousands of students calling every day please give them some grace. I promise you, we are working hard to get to every single student. All right. So please give us some grace, but please contact them. All right. All right. So I will see you guys next Tuesday at 6
There's
p.m.
a
back in
question in
Baltimore.
reference to the
Oh,
housing deposit. I just
you
wanted
did
to
not.
give a little, the financial aid housing declaration is not the housing contract. It doesn't confirm housing. It just helps us to determine, once again, your budget, that cost of attendance, to see what the maximum award is. And I've asked Ms. Harris to include the housing declaration in the chat. And again, that is solely for the purposes of financial aid, and you can send it to our financial aid inbox if you do not have credentials, and we will be able to make the necessary adjustments to provide you a more accurate award letter. Janelle, you're muted.
Sorry. Do I see a question about whether or not you have to pay your housing deposit before April the 1st? No, you do have to submit the housing deposit and the application in order to get reviewed for a housing assignment. You cannot do one or the other. Okay, so paying the $150 housing deposit does not secure your housing. Please know that we've had some tears in the past because they did not do their part. So make sure you're doing everything that is required of you, and we will go over that on Tuesday. All right, we will go over that on what day? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Tuesday, March 31st. I am not going to explain to you anything about the housing application until then. All right, so you guys have to be patient until we get to our next episode. We're going to do this just like you would watch a show on Netflix. You got to wait till next week to get the next episode. All right, so we're going to see you guys next Tuesday, March 31st, 6 p.m. Please register so you can get the link to join us. All right, see you guys next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Coppin.
A Coppin.